Many dream of owning their own island, often picturing it in the warm Caribbean or South Pacific. Gananoque, a small town on the St. Lawrence River in Ontario, Canada, is part of the Thousand Islands region where both Canadians and Americans live on these islands. Some have castles, and dollar for dollar, these islands rival any in the world, despite being in the St. Lawrence River instead of the tropics. One popular story about the Thousand Islands involves salad dressing, supposedly invented by a local woman and later given to a New York hotel around 1890, though there's no written proof of this. I used to drive trucks for a living, delivering across the contiguous 48 states and Canada for a medium-sized company with about 100 trucks. Drivers could choose between long hauls, regional routes, or local transport. After a long trip of a week or more, we could opt to stay local for a week to spend time with family or go back on longer trips. Sometimes we could even take our wives on the road. Most trucking companies that operate nationwide and in Canada keep their drivers on the road for weeks, impacting family life. Several professions strain families, with the military being the toughest, followed by trucking and law enforcement. I worked construction during high school summers, so it was natural to start working full-time after graduation. By age 23, I was a skilled carpenter. At 19, I met Julie Simpson, an office clerk at a commercial bakery, and we married at 21. We were happy until the banking and construction industries faced severe losses. Julie and I decided I should try truck driving for better pay, despite the drawback of being away from home. The company offered to pay for my truck driving school if I committed to a year with them. After getting my Class A CDL 3 weeks later, I was accepted and paired with an experienced driving instructor who taught me the ropes of handling loaded trailers weighing 16 to 36 tons. Scheduled for 5 weeks with my instructor, I convinced the safety department I was ready in 4. After a week in the city and another on local roads, everything went smoothly. I arranged for Julie to collect my paycheck on Fridays from the office, which worked well. After 9 months, while finishing up a week of local driving, my dispatcher Shirley offered a good opportunity. I had cargo heading to Vancouver with a return load to Montreal, or rather, to Gananoque. The young company owner, just a few years older than me, had recently bought one of the Thousand Islands, complete with 2 houses. He wanted the main house furnished with handcrafted furniture from Vancouver Island, although the furniture wouldn't be ready for a month. The operations department decided to surprise him with an early delivery. Here's the deal. You can't tell anyone, not even his wife. I'm not saying she'll spill the beans, but since she comes for your paycheck, she might say something to the wrong person. The boss and his wife will be there next weekend around the time you get back. You'll head to Vancouver, get loaded up, and then return. Is this something you'd be interested in? Before I could respond, she interrupted. Remember, whether you accept or not, you can't tell anyone. Do you promise? I accept and promise not to tell anyone, I said. Good. Since you took it and because I like you, have you seen that brand new Peterbilt in the yard? He asked. Of course I saw it, I replied. Well, it's yours. Load your things into it. Your cargo is in trailer 2353. You can leave in the morning. Call me when you get to Vancouver. And be careful, he instructed. I went home and told Julie about my upcoming trip to the West Coast. She didn't mind the good pay, but we both disliked my nearly 2-week absence. To make up for it, we cherished our night together. Lovemaking with Julie was always special. She was always eager for anything. Early in my trucking days, we took unclothed photos so I could take her with me. Whenever I drove to Canada, her photos stayed in a bag on my seat, never checked during the thorough border searches after the first time. Leaving was simple, crossing the border routine with courteous Canadian officials. During the search, Shirley called, "The boss's furniture was ready, brought from the island that day." Unloading and loading took hours. Then I headed back east, fully loaded. Returning via Detroit, the drive to Montreal took about 9 hours. In Kingston, I parked overnight and called Shirley. At 6 a.m., we loaded a barge for the island. The path was straightforward but slow. The forested island led to the guest house, where I unexpectedly found my wife with the boss, her bosom being rubbed with what I assumed was sunscreen. As I approached, I realized it was indeed sunscreen, but she wasn't his wife. She was mine. They were caught off guard as I spoke to them briefly, then turned away without hearing their response. Back at the dock, realizing I was on an island, I noticed several boats moored there. Taking a boat was my only way back. With some basic knowledge from TV and movies, I found keys, started a boat, and hurried back to town, damaging it slightly on arrival. The boat drifted away as I left for Kingston Airport, buying a ticket for a flight to New York. Julie had left one message on my ringing phone. "Please call me back," her message read. I called. "Shirley, "Good morning, Scott. Did you succeed?" she asked. "How long, Shirley?" I demanded. "How long for what?" she replied, confused. "How long has he been sleeping with my wife?" I questioned. "What are you talking about? My God, is she there? Is she all right? How long?" Shirley responded, panicked. "About 3 months. Sorry, Scott. His wife had to be there, otherwise I would never have sent you," she admitted. "So you would send me somewhere knowing the boss was having lovemaking with my wife?" "Who else knows?" I pressed. "Just Joey and me," she confessed. "Thank you, Shirley. Thank you very much," I said sarcastically. "Wait, where are you? What are you going to do?" "Wait, he's on the other line. I'll be right back," she said urgently. "Freak you," I muttered, ending the call. Now I understand why she didn't want me to tell Julie about the trip. She would have told Bradley, ruining the surprise, especially the one he just had. It was a small airport, and I could see everything and everyone coming and going. I kept looking to see if she or he would show up, but they didn't. The flight was short. After landing, I rented a car and drove 4 hours home. She wasn't there. I couldn't stop thinking about what I would do. On the drive home, my phone rang again, and she left another message. "Scott, if you're home, I'm on my way. Please don't do anything until I arrive and we can talk. We never had lovemaking, Scott. We just fooled around. Please believe me." They never had lovemaking? Jesus Christ. Did she really think I was that stupid? At our apartment, I loaded my pickup truck with everything I wanted, walked over to the terminal, and calmly went to work. Shirley and Joey were there. Neither of them looked at me when they saw it was me. "How much money do you owe me, Shirley?" I demanded. "Scott, she began. "Write me a check for everything the company owes me now," I insisted. "Sorry, Scott. Mr. Bradley said not to give you anything until he talks to you," she explained. "Shirley, you owe me. Thank you very much," I replied curtly. "He said you crashed one of his boats," she added. "What else did he say? Was he bragging about sleeping with my wife? Did you all have a good laugh at my expense? Julie came here and told you to keep me off the road as long as possible. Write me a check, Shirley, or I'll wreck this whole damn office," I threatened. It took her a couple of minutes to figure out what I was owed. She called accounting and told them to write me a check. I went to the accounting department. They had everything ready for me. I looked at it. I changed my mind. "Transfer it to my card, please," I requested. "But Scott, direct deposit." They hesitated. "Now, please," I insisted. I gave them my card number and they did it. Bradley wouldn't be able to stop the direct deposit payment. Then I went to Bradley's house one day. We had been there on a picnic. My wife was probably there for more than just picnics. Mrs. Bradley opened the door. She looked and acted like she was sick. "What can I do for you?" she asked. "My name is Scott Mann, and I used to drive for your husband. This morning I delivered furniture to your island and found your husband massaging my wife's bare bosom with one hand, while the other wandered below the waist. I thought you should know. Have a good day," I said. "Wait a minute, mister. What did you say your name was?" she asked. Scott Mann," I replied. "What is your wife's name?" she inquired. "Julie Mann," I answered. "Did you see this morning?" she pressed. "With my own eyes," I confirmed. "Are you sure?" she asked again. "Lady, of course I'm sure. Do you really think I would make something like that up about my own wife?" I retorted. I walked to my truck and drove off, not knowing where I was going. I headed to my parents' house and quickly brought them up to speed. Mom always had coffee ready and offered me a cup. I took it and soon stretched out on the sofa. I closed my eyes. The next thing I remember, I heard my father's voice. "Julie, get off my porch or I'll call the police," he commanded. "But I need to talk to Scott," she pleaded. "After what you did to him?" Dad asked. "No way." "But he doesn't understand," she protested. "Oh, I think he understands perfectly. You slept with his boss for 3 months. What's so hard to understand?" Dad responded. "But he doesn't know why?" she insisted. "Of course he knows. You're a traitor, that's why. Now get off my porch," he demanded. She started screaming my name. "Scott, talk to me. Please, Scott, give me a chance to explain. Scott, Scott." It had been a long day, and soon I fell asleep again. The next morning, I woke up early and walked to my truck. I still didn't know where I was going, but I had to go somewhere. I opened the door to sit down, and Julie was sleeping across the seat. She sat up when she heard the door open. I started to walk away, but she grabbed my hand and pulled me back. "Please, Scott, listen to me. I had no choice," she pleaded. "You either let someone have lovemaking with you, or you don't, right, Julie?" I asked. "Everything was wrong," she admitted. "So you had lovemaking voluntarily?" I stated, not questioned. "Scott, just give me a chance," she begged. I repeat, you had lovemaking voluntarily, I reiterated. Okay, I had lovemaking voluntarily, but besides, you lied. We never had lovemaking. We just played around a little, she tried to downplay. God, did you really expect me to believe that? Get out of my truck, I demanded. She didn't budge, so I took her hand and pulled her outside. Furious, I drove off before she could get up. I went to a fast food restaurant for breakfast. I ordered, took the food to a table, and ate. When I finished, I went to the bank and split our money. My phone rang several times, and several people left messages. My former employer, Ernest T. Bradley, left too. Call me and let's talk, or I'll sue you for crashing my boat. And then you'll go to jail for threatening my employees. And don't think I won't do it. That was his first message. Listen, I slept with your wife. Deal with it. This happens every day. She's not the first wife I've spent time with, and she won't be the last. Swallow your pride. Take her back and punish her if necessary. That's what she likes and wants. If you don't, maybe I'll keep doing it. Now get back here and drive my truck home, or I'll report you for theft. Plus, you owe me 3 more months to pay for your truck driving school. That was his second message. God, what an idiot. So he was still in Canada. I called his wife to see if I could meet her instead of just rushing to his house again. She agreed, and I played his messages for her. She had been sick before, but after hearing him, she felt worse. At first, I wasn't sure I believed you, but now I do. I'm going to make his life hell. May I have a copy of this message? Mrs. Bradley asked. We made a copy for her, I noted. What are you going to do with your wife? She inquired. Divorce, of course. I just don't know how to approach it, I replied. It's simple, she said. Find a good lawyer and hire him. It sounded so simple. I left her house and returned to my parents. They also asked what I planned to do. I told them the same thing I told Mrs. Bradley. My father then repeated word for word what she had told me. They convinced me, so I started looking for a lawyer again. I had no idea where to start, so I began with the letter A in the phone book. I got to D before I found my lawyer, David Dennison, and we hit it off right away. His entire family, including himself, were truck drivers until he flipped his car and was paralyzed from the waist down. He graduated from law school in a wheelchair. He was the only member of his family not in the trucking business, but they all knew and respected Ernest T. Bradley. Dennison noted several times Bradley's youth and business acumen. In fact, everyone who knew him respected him. He was famous in society. He sponsored sports teams, arts programs, and donated to every charity that came his way. Dennison flat refused to believe me when I first told him what I had discovered in Canada. He was on Bradley's side, and I was almost ready to leave and find another lawyer. But I decided to play the messages for him. He finally began to believe me. Wow, this will shake up the community if it gets out. How do you want to handle this? Privately or make a big splash? Dennison asked. All I want is to get a divorce as cheaply as possible. From what I understand, this will never make it into the newspapers. The reason for the divorce will be infidelity. If that means it goes all over town, so be it. But there won't be any lies about irreconcilable differences. She cheated, and it will be recorded, I explained. It can be difficult if that message is all you have. Courts today almost require visual evidence, especially when accusing a man of his stature, Dennison cautioned. Well, let's try it, I decided. Fine. We will serve her the documents in the next few days. Do you know where she might be? He asked. Either at work, at the bakery, at home, or in Canada with him, I guess, I replied. Of course, we can't serve documents to her in Canada, so we'll try at home or work, he noted. That works for me. You can contact me by mobile or at my parents', I said. I was tired of living with my parents, so I spent the next few days looking for my own apartment. I found one that wasn't the fanciest or best in town, but it was mine. A week later, Julie was served at work. My father owned a small welding shop. I never had any interest or inclination towards welding, but that started to change. He convinced me to come work for him just to get me out of my apartment. Both he and my mother thought I spent too much time indoors. I thought about working for another transport company, but I wasn't too enthusiastic about it. So I went to the welding shop. My dad had a pickup truck with portable welding equipment, and basically all he did was fix things. Sometimes a client would ask for something special, and my father would prepare it. Julie tried to talk to me several times, but after she was served, everything went through our lawyers. Our first meeting was about a month after she was served. Her lawyer, of course, tried to get the infidelity charge thrown out. I categorically refused. Bradley was named in the divorce petition, and Julie desperately didn't want his name to appear anywhere near the divorce suit for infidelity. This could ruin his reputation in society. He doesn't deserve it, she objected. I exploded. Are you serious? He is a wife-stealing slug and should be exposed to the public. Julie intervened. If you had treated your wife better, he wouldn't have been able to steal her. This led to a quarrel between us, which could only be stopped by placing us in separate rooms. After we cooled down and were back in the same room, she again tried to get me to remove his name. I'm not going to do this, so forget about it. Why are you trying so hard to protect him? Are you planning to marry him? Are you still sleeping with him? FYI, he and I are still dating, so yes, I'm still sleeping with him. Her lawyer simply laid his head on the table and groaned, and without lifting it, he spoke. You just admitted to your husband and 2 bailiffs that you committed infidelity. This is probably the worst thing you could do at this point. I don't care, she said. Then to me, answering your other question, yes, I'm going to marry him as soon as he gets divorced. So you think he loves you? I asked. Certainly. I put my phone on the table and scrolled through his message to her. That's not what he said. He's just playing you. Mr. Dennison chuckled as he pulled an envelope from his briefcase and slid it across the table to Julie. Her lawyer intercepted it, opened it, and reviewed the contents. A note and a series of photos. Julie examined the photos first, then read the note aloud. Mr. Mann, these may help with your divorce. The first 5 were taken on the island 3 weeks ago with his hairdresser's wife. The next 6 were from last week when I was away. He picked up a woman at a bar. It was just another fling, like your wife, the note signed Cynthia revealed. All the photos showed Bradley with the 2 women in various stages of undress, or in carnal positions, leaving no doubt about their affair. Julie pushed the photos back and left the room, not to be seen until court, where they split everything: money, jewelry, china, and her clothes. She stayed in their apartment. Bradley's reputation tanked swiftly. His sports teams folded, and Cynthia received half of everything, including their home and half the moving company. He only kept the Canadian island because she didn't want it. He billed my lawyer for truck driving school, claiming breach of contract, met with a colorful response from Mr. Dennison. Cynthia called to disregard it, offering me an operations manager job at a trucking company. Tempting, but refused. Over time, I discovered a knack for metal work, thanks to Dad's guidance. Dating came and went, rarely lasting. Bradley's business sold, and Cynthia disappeared. He occasionally surfaced, but didn't recognize me from our time together. I found joy welding and crafting metal goods in the shop, like weather vanes and mailbox stands. On a quiet Sunday, Julie visited, seeking conversation. Can we talk? She asked. I've nothing to say. Just listen. She explained. I've no excuse. We had a good life. Money, love, so why Bradley? Partly his lies about you, being away, mistreatment. He said every trucker strays, I believed. Shirley fed it, said Bradley treated me well. Mrs. Bradley supposedly okayed his flings to improve marriage. All lies, but I fell for it. Now I know better. I sat quietly and listened. When I thought she had calmed down, I spoke. Why are you telling me all this now? I don't know. I don't think I ever really wanted to tell you this. At least, not the truth. I didn't want you to know how foolish I was. I always thought I'd come up with a story where it was all your fault, and I came up with a few jokes. But I couldn't bring myself to tell you any of them. This afternoon, driving past your store, I saw you here and stopped. I didn't know what I was going to say, just that I had to say something if you'd let me. But what I said turned out to be the truth. What did you hope to gain from this? I asked. Just for you to know that none of this was your fault. These were all my own selfish desires and the fabricated scenarios he created for me. I also wanted you to know that whether you believe it or not, I never stopped loving you, she replied. That's where I think you're lying. I don't think you can truly love someone and lie or cheat on them. You did both. You even wanted to marry him, if I remember correctly. Are you still seeing him? I challenged. I can't explain it any better than I have already, and I won't try to make you believe me. And no, I'm not with him. I haven't seen him since the day in the lawyer's office when I saw those photographs, she responded. She sat silently for a few more moments, watching me work. I guess I should go, she finally said, standing up. Scott. I looked at her. Is there any way I could forgive you enough to give you another chance? She asked. I shook my head. You know where the door is, I replied. After she left, I reflected on my ex-boss and ex-wife, confirming my thoughts about them. I wondered what would have happened if I hadn't surprised my boss on the island. Would I still be trucking, settling for what was left? I chose to make weather vanes and take the risk of going broke. One day, a flyer for a Renaissance festival arrived. I'd never heard of it before and learned Maryland claims jousting and lacrosse as official sports. Curious, I attended the festival nearby. There I saw vendors selling armor, swords, and more. Inspired, I researched and crafted shields and swords, then sold them at festivals across the country. Teddy Wickoff helped me sell my items, marking the start of a new business. I continued making and selling swords and shields, gaining momentum. During this time, I took on a challenging repair job for Mr. James Jameson's damaged gate. Despite initial doubts, I completed the task with help from his daughter Hannah, who brought me iced tea and kept me company. As we bonded over the project, I developed a keen interest in armor making, pondering its profitability. While dating a woman I met at the library, our relationship ended abruptly. Later, at a cinema, I unexpectedly encountered Hannah with her boyfriend, hearing her voice within minutes of their arrival. "If you touch me there again, I'll cut off your balls." His hand dropped from her shoulder. Irritated, she left, and her boyfriend pleaded for her to return. I followed them. To her credit, she didn't tolerate his behavior. I wasn't close enough to hear, but they were arguing about something. I decided to intervene, something I'd never done before. "Excuse me, Hannah, are you okay?" I asked. She looked at me, taking a moment to recognize me. "No, that guy has more arms than an octopus, and I'm tired of fighting him off. Can you give me a ride home?" "Sure," I agreed. As we headed to my truck, another guy approached. "Hannah, are you okay?" he asked. "Now I am, yes," she replied. "Do you want me to take you home?" he offered. Without even looking at me, she said yes, and they headed to his car without saying goodbye to me, as if I weren't there at all. I stood there watching them drive off, shook my head, and went home. A few days later, I was at her house again. There were some railings along the walkway that needed attention, so Mr. Jameson asked me to return. Hannah saw me and came over to say hello, but didn't mention the movie incident. I was a bit annoyed at being completely ignored at the cinema and wasn't in the mood to chat. She took the hint and left. I returned the next day with spare parts. It was a standard railing, so parts were readily available. As she headed towards the pool, Hannah stopped to chat. I mostly ignored her. I enjoyed our conversations while working on the gate, but after the theater incident, not so much. "Are you mad at me?" she asked. "Do you remember what happened at the movies last week?" I replied. "You mean with the octopus guy?" she clarified. "Yes," I confirmed. "What about it?" she asked. "You asked me to give you a ride home. Do you remember that?" I pressed. "Of course," she answered. "What happened after that?" I inquired. "Nothing. Jimmy showed up and took me home," she said. "And you didn't see anything wrong with that?" I asked. "No. Was there?" she responded, confused. "Not if you didn't see anything." "I guess," I said, grabbing a hammer and started making noise with the metal, hoping she'd take the hint and leave. It didn't make sense, I thought. Yeah, she was getting impatient. "I don't get you," she said. I looked her in the eye. "That's the problem," I stated. I resumed hammering. She got the message and left. The rest of the day was spent finishing the railings. My interest in armor grew, and I researched its construction extensively. I crafted my first piece and felt proud of it. I sent a photo to Teddy to get his opinion. "Stick with shields and swords," he advised, laughing. "You're good at that. Armor requires a lot more work to sell." A few days later, I was at a local bar watching a baseball game when Hannah sat down next to me. "I'm meeting friends for a drink. Want to join us?" she asked. "No thanks. I'm good here," I replied. She got up to leave, but hesitated. She looked at me. "Are you ever going to tell me what I did to make you mad?" "If I have to explain it, I feel sorry for you. Enjoy your drinks," I said. I finished my beer and was about to leave when she returned. "Oh my God, Scott. I didn't mean to ignore you. In the theater, that guy made me so angry I didn't know what I was doing. Please accept my apologies," she pleaded. I assumed someone at her table overheard our conversation and corrected her. "Apologies accepted," I said. She smiled. "Will you join us now?" "Please, let's just have a drink. I owe you at least this," I smiled back. "Sure, thank you." They all drank, and the evening turned out to be enjoyable. Two of them, whose names I don't recall, reminded Hannah of her manners. Throughout the evening, I felt sympathetic towards her. The group eventually dispersed, and we all departed. I left with Ginny. I sat next to her at the table and inquired about Hannah. She informed me they had been friends for a long time. "Look, Scott, I'm not her best friend, but we're close. There's something about you she likes. She regrets how she treated you. She told the whole table that," Ginny explained. "She told you? You have to give her credit for that. Do you have her number?" I asked. "No," Ginny replied. "Give me your phone," I said. I handed it over and she entered Hannah's number. Give her a call, she suggested. The following week, one morning at the store, Hannah walked in. I assumed she got the address from her father. Did you have fun last time? I enjoyed it. I like your friends, I said. That's good. But what about me? Do you like me? I remember you apologized, she replied. I remember, I acknowledged. Then why aren't we friends? She asked. I smiled. I think we're working on it. An apology doesn't automatically mean friendship. It means you realize you made a mistake and regret it. That's why you apologize. The person may or may not accept it. I accepted yours, but that doesn't mean we'll be best friends. It just means I acknowledge you understand what you did and feel sorry for it, assuming your apology was sincere. It was, she assured. I believe you, I said. Good. So let's go out to dinner, she proposed. I chuckled. Why not? It'll be a good step in building our friendship, she added. All right. When? I asked. How about tonight? She suggested. And so it was. Hannah and I had dinner, and our friendship blossomed. We dated for 2 months before becoming physical engaged. But that was just the beginning. Our relationship thrived, and soon we wanted to spend all our time together. She'd visit the store just to be with me, and we both cherished that time. I could work while she read, and we didn't always need to talk or interact. Just being there for each other was enough. During a late-night conversation in bed, I learned she'd been married briefly. However, she surprised me by revealing Jonah Jameson wasn't her biological father. She and her mother were married for only 7 years. She had an older brother, and their father passed away 2 years after their mother married Jameson. Their father owned a trucking company, and her brother Ernest wanted to take over and manage it. He was 6 years older than Hannah, and many doubted his youthfulness. However, Hannah and her mother agreed to let him try. He proved capable, and the company prospered. I got out of bed, poured us drinks, and returned. Tell me about your brother, I asked. I've told you most of it. The important parts, anyway. The gist is the transport company was doing well. So well, he and my ex-sister-in-law bought an island in Canada. Then some woman got her hooks into him, and he ended up divorced, selling the company. Supposedly, this woman's husband started driving for him, thinking they could make money together. She wriggled her way in and seduced him. They set it up so her husband would catch them together on the island. My sister-in-law divorced my brother, took half the company, and they had to sell. What a pair of thieves. I downed my drink in one go. How much did they extort from him? I asked. My brother never told me, but they got something, she replied. Do you remember their names? I inquired. I did, but I forgot, she answered. I decided to be honest with her, though I feared it would end our relationship. So I opted for one last physical encounter. Afterward, I almost convinced myself not to reveal my identity because the lovemaking had been unparalleled. Knowing the truth would likely spell the end for us, especially since I was preparing to leave her house. I dressed, sat on the edge of her bed, and began, The time has come. Let's revisit the story of your brother's divorce. Was what you told me the official version or his perspective? I asked. He told me, so I took it as official. Why do you ask? She replied. Because everything happened completely differently, I said. What do you mean? She asked. So I recounted the true events. Halfway through, she abruptly got out of bed, still unclothed, and listened intently. In conclusion, I asserted that Julie and I had merely ended in divorce, not extortion. Her response was terse. You're lying, get out! I'm not lying, this is the truth, I insisted. She hurled a pillow at me. You're lying, get out, and don't return with these lies. I departed, disliking such endings, yet cherishing the memory of our final closeness. Life moved on. I experienced another social lull, unable to find a way out of my rut. One evening, feeling indulgent, I dined at a posh restaurant. After finishing my main course, I scanned the room and spotted Hannah and her brother a few tables away, with a small cake adorned with candles. I signaled for the bill, paid it, then boldly approached their table and sat down. They regarded me like an alien. Her brother spoke first. Are you sure you're at the right table? He asked, clearly not recognizing me. Indeed, and I think it's time you told your sister the truth about your divorce. She knows about it, I said. Who the hell are you? He retorted. But evidently she doesn't know the real truth, so you need to set the record straight, I said firmly. Freak you, he shot back. Scott, what are you doing? She nearly shouted. Get out of here! Miraculously, the waiter appeared. Is everything all right here? He inquired. This guy, Hannah said, pointing at me, sat down uninvited and maltreated my brother. I want him to leave. "Certainly, sir. I must ask you to depart," the waiter insisted. I faced Bradley first. "You're something else," I said. "Just go," Hannah demanded. Leaving, I figured it might be our final meeting. Back in my shop, I focused on my favorite projects, axes and chainmail. The next weekend, a festival awaited where I brought shields, axes, and chainmail samples for Teddy. He got me a vendor pass and introduced me to Diana, dressed in period attire with a revealing gown. "Diana, meet Scott. Scott Diana," Teddy said. "Scott crafts our pieces and he's got some new ones today." "That's what I do," I said, fetching the new items from my truck. Teddy and Diana admired them like treasures. Amid the bustling festival, we shared a meal and enjoyed the lively atmosphere. I wanted to ask about Diana, but the chance never came. Teddy later explained, "She and her sister organize festivals nationwide. If you hadn't shown up, she would have." "Why didn't you tell me earlier? I would have found a motel," I replied. "No chance, they're all booked," he said. The next day, Diana was a hit, and we had a profitable weekend selling out our stock. After the festival, Teddy convinced me to stay another night before heading home. I rushed to craft chainmail upon returning, barely sleeping all weekend. Around 3 a.m., Hannah appeared at my door, intoxicated and with police in tow. "Are you Scott Mann?" one officer asked. "Yes," I replied. "Is she your girlfriend?" he inquired. "I know her, but she's not my girlfriend," I clarified. "Are you sure?" "She insists you're her boyfriend," he pressed. "Not even close. Last time I saw her, she called me a liar and kicked me out of her house," I explained. "We're taking her with us," he said. "Where are you taking her?" I asked. "To spend the night at the station," he replied. "No, don't do that. I'll take care of her," I offered. "Are you sure?" he questioned. "No, but I can't let her spend the night at the station," I affirmed. I helped her inside and settled her on my bed, the only one available. I considered sleeping on the couch, which was preferable to the air mattress in Teddy's tent, but I preferred my own bed. Instead, there was a snoring drunk woman in it. The next morning, I woke up and went to work. I heard nothing from her all day and expected her to still be asleep when I returned home. I was wrong. She was gone and the apartment was spotless. I searched for a note, but found nothing. Despite my efforts, I didn't manage to complete a single new piece of chainmail. Teddy stopped by and picked up shields, swords, and axes I had stashed. We debated hiring help, but qualified metal workers were scarce. We decided on training instead, placing ads in the local newspaper and the festival newsletter. On a Friday evening, I was in the workshop working on inventing a machine to speed up chainmail production. There were a few available on the market, but I believed I could improve upon them. It was late, and I was tired when there was a knock on the door. It was a sober-looking Hannah. "Thank you for rescuing me from the police," she said. I nodded. "I tried to clean up after her. Everything's okay." She nodded back, at a loss for words, as we stood there in silence. "Listen, it's been a long day, and I need to get some sleep," I said. I gently moved past her, closed and locked the door, then headed to my car. "Good night," I said. As I was about to get into the car, I heard her voice. "You were right. My brother lied. I'm sorry," she admitted. I simply waved over my shoulder, got into the car, and drove home. Armor making fascinated me. After Teddy critiqued my initial attempt, I conducted extensive research and created another suit that served as a template for future pieces. They were labor-intensive, time-consuming, and incredibly challenging, but I relished the challenge. Feeling prepared, I debuted it at the next festival, where Teddy was impressed. While we could have sold it several times over, we chose to showcase it as a sample of my craftsmanship. Visitors admired it, commented, and if interested in purchasing, we discussed customization options. My festival ventures were prosperous and fulfilling. I purchased a trailer to transport my tools and materials, enabling me to move between festivals. Sometimes I worked at a booth, engaging with visitors, while other times I crafted in the private vendor area. One evening between festivals, I conversed with my father and marveled at the unexpected success of Renaissance metalwork. Who would have known so many people were interested in armor and could afford it? These items weren't cheap, I remarked. After the festival season ended, I began dating a girl I met at our local car dealership. I was considering buying a new truck since my dad's welding truck was old. The plan was to outfit my new truck with welding equipment, sell the old one, and possibly upgrade to something newer and bigger. While she was getting her car serviced, I admired a new truck outside the showroom. We struck up a conversation and ended up exchanging phone numbers. A week later, we went on our first date, followed by a second, and so on. One evening after I drove her home, she invited me inside. We had a second drink, and I sat on her sofa. She stood in front of me and started unbuttoning her blouse. "Do you mind if I get more comfortable?" she asked. "Not at all, as long as I get to watch and enjoy," I replied. She grinned. "That's the whole idea. I undress while you watch, then you undress while I watch. Then we have lovemaking, hoping it won't end too quickly." "It seems like you've planned everything out." "Oh, absolutely." As her blouse came off and her skirt was about to follow, I reached for her underwear, but she gently pushed my hands away. "Let me handle this. Just watch and enjoy. You do like watching a lady undress, don't you?" "I'm not sure. I've never really paid attention before," I admitted. She let out a deep, throaty laugh. "I hope you're better in bed than you are at lying." Her bra joined her blouse on the floor. "You're pretty confident, aren't you?" "Very," she said. "Now it's your turn." I began unbuttoning my shirt. "Slow down, Tiger. We have all night. Let me enjoy the show." I slowed down and she licked her lips. I kicked off my shoes, unbuckled my belt, and unzipped my trousers. As I started to pull my pants down, she placed her hands over mine and knelt down, following my pants to the floor. She stopped when she was on her knees, looking up at me. "What's next? T-shirt or shorts?" she asked. "Which do you prefer?" "The T-shirt. Save the best for last." I removed my T-shirt and tossed it aside. She picked it up and brought it to her nose. I love the scent of men," she murmured. I left around 3 in the morning. The whole drive home, I compared her to Hannah, and the last time we had lovemaking, unable to decide who was better. The relationship lasted a solid 4 months before we broke up. Later that evening, I noticed several missed calls and messages from Hannah. "Scott, please call me as soon as you get this message. It doesn't matter what time it is, please," her message read. I took her at her word and dialed. She answered after 2 rings. "Hello, Scott," she said. Her voice sounded slightly slurred. "I woke you up. I think I dozed off. I tried to stay awake waiting for your call." "All right, I'm calling. What's so urgent?" I asked. "I wanted you to know my brother lied about his divorce. You were right, and I'm sorry." "You've already apologized for that. Is there something else?" I inquired. "Yes." There was a pause. "Can we see each other again? I miss you," she confessed. "Honestly, there's no way you and I can see each other knowing who your brother is and what he did with my wife. If we got serious, it would inevitably cause problems with him, and I'd always feel uncomfortable. I'm not putting myself through that." I could hear her crying. "I knew you'd say that, but I hoped you wouldn't. Goodbye, Scott." The Renaissance festivals were back in full swing. I secured my passes, bought a tent and camping gear, and hit the road. I spent most of my time assisting Teddy at his booth. When not doing that, I worked on creating new items for sale. My armor-making skills had improved significantly during the off-season, and at each festival we sold at least 1 piece. While demand was high, each piece required a substantial amount of time to craft. 2 days after closing one festival, Teddy asked if I could join him at the next one. I agreed, and since he was nearby, he brought his trailer with everything I needed. I loaded up my truck and left my trailer at home, taking his instead. I worked 3 festivals in a row, garnering attention from visitors. I even demonstrated my chainmail machine by the 3rd festival. The next event on my schedule was near Philadelphia and spanned 11 days, making it one of the largest in the country. Unlike others, which ran Thursday to Sunday, this one started on a Thursday, continued through the following weekend, and ended the weekend after. I spent 2 weeks at home preparing materials, primarily focusing on armor. My father became adept at crafting shields, axes, and swords. I worked late into the night. One evening, late into the night, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find a very intoxicated Hannah stumbling into my arms. "Is this your girlfriend?" one of the 2 police officers accompanying her asked. "If it keeps her out of trouble tonight, I guess so." I half-guided, half-carried her to my bedroom and simply dropped her on the bed. I showered, shaved, changed into pajamas, and set out clothes for the next day, anticipating the possibility of her returning in a similar state. The next morning, I checked on Hannah, still asleep. I debated whether to stay and attempt a conversation or simply let it go. That evening, I went to work. Upon returning home, I found the house immaculate. She had even cleaned the kitchen. In the bathroom, my toothbrush and toothpaste were in different places, so I rearranged them. Both were wet, as was the washcloth on the sink. I took a frozen enchilada from the freezer and heated it up for dinner, though I didn't eat much. The following morning, I departed for a festival in Philadelphia, bringing along all my materials for shields and chainmail. My plan was to conduct numerous demonstrations. The first day was incredible, and it only improved from there. On that initial Sunday, a large crowd watched me nearly all day long. By the time the festival closed for the day, Teddy and I were both exhausted. Evenings in the vendor area were always lively, serving as the epicenter of the party scene. There, people cooked, played music, drank, rehearsed sword fights, repaired or tried on armor, tended to horses and physical engaging activities. It wasn't uncommon to stroll past a tent and hear sounds of closeness or see a camper or van gently swaying. After things quieted down, I sat outside my tent and thought how nice it would be to have someone inside to cuddle with. Hannah was probably free, but I couldn't bring myself to call her. Monday's crowds were moderate, but foot traffic remained steady throughout the day. Attendance records weren't broken, but it was bustling enough. In the middle of the day, while demonstrating the painstaking process of assembling chainmail, I glanced up and saw Hannah watching me. I continued my demo, inviting questions from onlookers. None were posed, and the crowd eventually dispersed, leaving Hannah standing there. "Do you enjoy doing this?" she asked. "Yes, I do," I replied. "You're good at it," she said. With that, she turned and melted into the crowd. I didn't see her again until the end of the event. On Wednesday, my parents arrived with more shields and axes. I showed them around, though they didn't seem entirely pleased with what I was doing. I pointed out where the vendors were set up, particularly to my mother, who disapproved of my tent setup. The remainder of the week and the weekend were successful, leaving Teddy and me satisfied upon returning home. I took a day off, during which my father helped me with chainmail work in the shop. As I discussed plans for a larger motorhome and trailer, the door opened and Hannah walked in. "This festival was a blast. A few friends and I are heading to the next one nearby," she said. "We even talked about going in armor." "Sounds like fun," I replied vaguely. "Will you be there?" she asked. "Probably," I answered. My father and I kept working, not making eye contact with her. "Can I come with you?" she inquired. "Not very practical, since I'll be there from Wednesday to Sunday," I said. "No worries. We can get a motel room," she suggested. "Highly unlikely. Those book up months in advance," I explained. "Where do you sleep?" she asked. "In a tent," I replied. "That sounds cozy. Maybe we could share," she proposed. "It's a small tent," I said. "Small ones can be cozy," she said. My father glanced at me, grinned, and excused himself. "Listen," she said, "you'll never forget that my brother had an affair with your wife, so we can't have a serious relationship. But that doesn't mean we can't be friends with benefits, right? We enjoy lovemaking together, don't we?" I hesitated. "So why not use each other? You can date whoever you want, but if you're not getting any action, I can help. What do you say?" I looked at her. "You're amazing, and I've said it before. But the idea of sharing doesn't sit well with me. I can't just have lovemaking with you knowing you might leave for someone else, even if you haven't yet. We both deserve to find real relationships and respect them." She stepped closer, touched my face, and kissed me. "You don't get it. I'm already in a relationship. If you want to date others, go ahead. Just know I'll always be there for whatever you need, whenever you need it. I don't need anyone else. I love you, and I fully intend to honor this arrangement." She kissed me once more and departed. My father must have watched her leave. "What are you going to do about her?" he asked. I kept staring at the door through which she had just exited. "I honestly don't know, Dad. What do you think?" "You've got two choices. Either come to terms with the fact that her brother had an affair with your ex-wife and accept that she may stick around, or leave town and keep a low profile. Maybe it's time to consider what your mother and I discussed." "What's that?" "We'll talk about it when we get home." At the dinner table later, he filled my mother in on Hannah. "So I thought maybe it's time we gave Scott that gift we talked about." "I think you might be right," she said. "What gift are you talking about?" I asked. "I don't like the idea of you sleeping in a tent," my mother said. "We're going to buy you a motorhome," my father announced. Arguing with them seemed pointless, and I actually thought it was a good idea. It took a week to find exactly what I wanted. Since I already had a Class A CDL, I didn't need driving lessons, so I hugged them both, thanked them, and bought a trailer to tow behind it. I set up the trailer so I could work inside if needed, and connected power from the van to the trailer. It was an excellent setup. I focused on crafting armor while my father worked on shields, swords, and axes. We both found immense satisfaction in this type of work. Teddy became envious when he saw my trailer and asked if I had christened it yet. "What do you mean?" I asked. "Have you had lovemaking in it yet?" he clarified. "No," I replied. He grinned. "Do you mind if Diana and I chuckled. "Go right ahead." He texted her, and she arrived in 10 minutes. He took her hand and off they went. They held hands and laughed when they returned. "We wanted you to be the first to know," he said. "Diana and I are getting married." She hugged me. "It was your van that clinched it," she said. "Thank you." That weekend, I didn't see much of any of them, but my van smelled like perfume and more. Back home for a week, Hannah spotted the van and dropped by. I'd been in a dry spell and knew I could get her into bed, so I gave her a tour and she was suitably impressed. "This is much better than a tent," she remarked. "Yes, indeed," I agreed. "It's got a double bed, doesn't it?" she asked. "Yes, and a sizable closet." "And I bet this shower can fit too." "It probably can," I said. We were in the van's living area when she approached me. "Has it been christened yet?" she coyly inquired. "What do you mean?" I asked, though I knew exactly what she meant. "Has anyone had lovemaking in it yet?" I fibbed. "No, it's brand new." "Well," she almost whispered, "we could do it now or this weekend." Since we were in my parents' yard, now wasn't feasible. "What do you mean this weekend?" I asked. "After the festival ends each evening," she suggested. "We could then." "Sorry, this is Southern Virginia. Even if I said yes, it's too far a drive for you." "You're right," she conceded. "So I'll just come with you." "Did you not hear what I just said?" She started tugging at my shirt, pulling me closer. "Scott, you admitted I'm the best you've ever had, and you're the best I've ever had. Plus, I'm in love with you, and I know you like me more than just a little. We should just have lovemaking whenever we can. Also, I have a dress that would be perfect for the festival. Everyone will love it, especially you." She kissed me softly and tenderly, as if she were in love with me. "I'm leaving here at 5 a.m. on Tuesday. I won't wait for you," I meekly stated. She kissed me again. "You don't have to." And she was right. She unpacked her clothes, stocked the kitchen, and by midnight Monday, she was in the van's bed. As soon as I got behind the wheel Tuesday morning, she came and sat in the passenger seat wearing only a robe. I knew because she glared at me every time I glanced her way. She met Diana, and both wore low-cut dresses that accentuated their curves. I couldn't wait for the workday to end. At closing time, Teddy and I shut down the booth. Diana and Hannah were cooking dinner in the van upon our arrival. I'd never tasted Hannah's cooking, but it was delicious. After Teddy and Diana left, Hannah asked if I wanted to shower with her. There was enough space for two, and from there we moved to the bed. That night marked the beginning of many nights and days spent enjoying each other in that van. This was also 3 years ago. Initially, her family tried to convince her that I only let her travel with me to spite her brother. He had convinced them that Julie and I were the cause of his divorce, not him. Obviously, none of them had been in court to see the truth, and like Hannah, they believed him. Hannah provided them copies of my divorce decree and her ex-sister-in-law's statements. He stayed in town and was responsible for a couple more divorces before deciding that the other side of the country would be better for his health. Hannah now has several new dresses for festivals. They don't highlight her belly as much. She never said she wanted to be a wife before becoming a mother, but I know it's on her mind. It's on my mind, too.